Alright, the Ace of Spades here bringing another Wargame Red Dragon video. Soviet-Korean Alliance deck build. I recently created this after the release of 3 new coalitions along with some gameplay changes. I play a lot of North Korea on in some of my videos even, but whenever I do play Red 4, I often pick North Korea, so it was a no-brainer to make this one. You'll see I named it Oh God. I use a lot of Russian stuff to fill in some of the gaps that North Korea has. But I try to use as much North Korean stuff as I can. That being said, let's hop in. Got just the standard UAZ. Never have liked helicopters or tanks or anything like that. Got 2 FOBs. Barely use 1 usually in a game, but I got 2 FOBs just in case. You never know. Ural. I take the 20-pointer over the 15-pointers from either faction. Playing North Korea, those 15-point Urals do get really old. You gotta have a metric dick ton of them just to fill up your line, your front line, I mean. And I also ditched the MI4 cargo for the MI6. Didn't want to go MI26 because Jesus, it's 120 points for logistics. 85 is pretty expensive, but yeah, ain't doing 120. Moving on, infantry gets a little interesting. One could argue that instead of taking Yuck Yonde 90, take 3 cards of VDV 90 instead, since I do have 2 Yuck Yondes. You're just looking at the stats, the VDV 90 have a much better launcher, more accurate with it, longer range, 1 more AP power, more suppression. So I did kind of sacrifice on taking some Yuck. Even their primary is more accurate, the VDV 90. A little bit less stabilization, however. The RPK 74 is better than the RPD of the Yuck Yonde as well. But the Yuck are elite, so they respond better under pressure, I guess. Just by a small margin, because VDV 90 are shock as well. Yuck are a little bit faster as well. That comes with the elite ground, but Yuck and Jagokde 90 both got reductions in their range on their Type 69 3s, the rocket launcher. That used to be 875 as well, like the Vampire, but they got nerfed. One of the big gameplay changes recently was their launchers. A lot of them got beefier distances, a lot on Blue 4 anyway, like Carl Gustav's and Law 80s or Law 9? No, Law 80s, that's right. And AT4s all got about 700 meter. Unfortunately, because, North Korea is so OP. But anyway, so I got VDV 90 and MIA MTVs. VDV 90 only come in tracked vehicles, which I don't necessarily dislike, but I like the speed of wheeled vehicles, so I go ahead and use them as my helicopter infantry, since I kind of always need to have helicopter infantry just the way I play. BTR 80s A's are where my Yuck Yonde come in. All the infantry is kind of pricey. Actually, I think just looking at this right now, I'm going to take out a card of Yuck Yonde 90 and BTR 80As. I'm going to take Motostrelky 90 if they come and beat. Yeah, they do. So, there's a small change I just made on the fly. But anyway, I've played this deck a couple times, and I've realized that the infantry is quite expensive, so uh, that'll be good to have some cheap infantry there. 15 points versus 30. Um, so Yuck Yonde, decent infantry, like them a lot, know how to use them. Love BTR 80As. Motostroke 90 are going to be a little bit more cheaper variant, I guess, of the Yuck Yonde. They actually have more AP power on their launcher, and same accuracy. Uh, However, the Motostroke are regular training, not even shock, but they're 15 points, so can't argue with that. The range on the launcher's less too, but that's fine. And then, of course, I have Spetsnaz and BTR 90s. Haven't really used a BTR 90 just because I don't play Russia a lot. I think it used to be a vehicle. There might still be a vehicle BTR 90 variant, but with anti-tank on it. But this one, the transport has a AGS-17 30mm frag gun, as well as the 30mm gun that comes on BTR 80As. And it's really nice for suppressing enemy infantry. I've used it a lot for like in a kind of an assault gun variant. Just fire on position on the front of a town or something and just spam it with frag rounds. It's very useful. I love frag rounds. And that's a very nice transport for some very good infantry. Spetsnaz, I'm sure you know what Spetsnaz are. They got that napalm rocket launcher. They're elite special forces. The primary's got decent accuracy, I guess, and stabilization. Rate of fire is great on it. RPK 74, it's good. So anyway, Spetsnaz. Then I have Igla ends over Iglas. I did used to take Iglas in my North Korean deck. Traded up for Igla ends just for that extra oomph in the HE department. 5 HE power versus the 4 on Iglas, I believe. Yes. So there's my infantry. A lot of good infantry that I passed up. Didn't take Conquer's M's. Muskaya, Pakota. They're good, but even if I wanted to take them, I'd probably take Jigokde 90 from North Korea over them. Same range on the rockets. Better accuracy going with Jigokde and more AP power, so that'd be a no-brainer there. So taking Muskaya over Jigokde would be a no-no, I would think. So, but I don't take either of those guys. Gorner Struck, it would have been nice, the 90 variant, excuse me. But they always seem like they're a pretty big target whenever they're out on the field, and I feel like I'd get them killed a lot easier than maybe something else. But then here's some of the North Korean shit infantry, which I'm definitely not going to take. So only one card of VDV-90 in the MI8 MTVs with 122mm rounds. I actually end up using these MI8s a lot throughout most of my games. I'll unload all 20 of those huge ass rockets and then take them back to my fobs. That's where a lot of my fob drainage comes from, actually, is those MI8s, as long as I keep them alive anyway. Those 122mm rockets just vaporize lighter vehicles and infantry, no problem. I've actually had them win in shootouts versus like, Mistral teams or something, just because MI8s are kind of beefy. They can take a hit. If they get, two volleys off of rockets, they'll kill that damn infantry. It just vaporizes shit. But moving on, support tab here. I used to have North Korean artillery. Oops. I used to take the Coxsans. They're 170mm rounds, which is just kind of a weird number because a lot of it's 152 or 55, and then the bigger stuff is 203. And this is kind of a weird in between. And it has a really slow firing rate, but I do take the Malkas, which are 203 from Russia. I used a lot of these in air-land battle. They're a little bit different in Wargame. They used to fire 2 shots very quick together, so both the first one was stun, and the second one would finish up on the kill. They're a little bit different in this one, but I still rack up some high price targets like hawks and that kind of stuff. You're not going to be doing any killing of highly mobile units or tanks or anything like that. You just want this to snipe those high price anti-air or maybe something else entrenched somewhere or problem spot. And it's impossible to spam artillery with this thing just because it has a slower reload time. It's not one of those 10-second reload artillery pieces like a Mista or something that I could have got from Russia. So I take the Malka. I think it's the most bro 203 tube launching artillery there is, and I don't feel cheap using it. Don't take the Smerch or the Uragan. I just take the Malka. That's my only artillery piece. Don't even have mortars. I know I'm such a bro, right? Moving on, I couldn't give up my Igla launching little VTT 323 Iglas. They have a dual KPTU, which is just KPTV 14.5 millimeter. These things will tear up infantry just with the dual version of it. Maybe even some heavier stuff if you're lucky. Obviously, you don't want to have this thing going after tanks, but in a pinch, you might be able to get some side armor shots and actually kill a tank. And then, of course, it's got the Iglas on it, which are nice. 45 points, can't argue with that. Moving on now, we got the Tunguska M. My only Russian AA here. It's really nice. I mean, damn. Look at that twin 2A38M. I don't really typically like radar-based AA, but Tunguska is a sure exception. But I can always turn that gun off and just use the missiles, which have a really great range for helicopters. Airplanes, not so much, but helicopters, it can snipe them from hella far away, which is really nice. The accuracy is great on them. It's 100 points, but I only get 4 of them to watch out after in a game, so I rarely lose them. Then I didn't really, even in my North Korean deck, try out this M1992 Spog. It's got a 30mm gun on it. It is radar. It seems like it'd be nice. I really haven't used it that much playing with this deck yet, but I have used a little bit. It's nice. Some alternatives, I guess, would be maybe this Berryusa. A little bit less beefy. Just let's compare the two here real quick. 55 points versus 50. The Spog is more armored by a small margin. Berryusa's got a faster fire rate, smaller rounds. That probably means less suppression. Yeah, it does. HE is the same. Stabilizer is almost non-existent on the Spog. Berryusa's got 35 over 15. Same accuracy. The range on helicopters is better with the Spog. The range on airplanes is also better, so that's why I take the Spog over Berryusa. I don't think I'm going to compare anything else. Ural ZU-23-2s. Very interesting little rigs, but I don't take them just because I don't think it's worth a card in my limited 55 activation points. Anyway, moving on. Don't take the Buratino either. I'm glad they put the Buratino in the support tab now, because they used to be really annoying having rocket-based launchers, and then they also have in the vehicle tab a Buratino, which it ups the amount of artillery someone could have got in a Russian deck. No mortars. Taking the Igla over the Strela 10M was kind of difficult for me, just because of that range difference. That's pretty much the only difference, though, was that range. Igla is more accurate, though, so that's why I settled with the Igla. So I think that covers that pretty well. So let's go ahead and move on. So we're in tanks now. The best tab. Just kidding, I like infantry, but tanks are nice. I had to take the North Korean T90, and not much North Korean armor representing, actually. Just because it's Chumho 4s used to be really good, and they got nerfed too. I think they had like 55% accuracy, and I think the AP power may have been the same, but stabilizer shit on all of them. I mean, 5 stabilizer on these cheaper tanks there, but 15 on the Chomaho 4. Sin Hungs are kind of nice, amphibious being their strong point, in my opinion. I think I did use them in my North Korean deck at some point in time. The Sosung Pos are pretty much Malyutka ripoffs. They're not reliable whatsoever. They do have more AP power than the main gun, however. But no, I don't take those. Russia has a lot of tanks to choose from, so I won't get into comparisons. I'm just going to show you what I picked. We got the T-72BU, which is just the T-90 with a severe missile on it. I like T-90s from North Korea, so I definitely like T-90s from Russia. So those are two really pricey tanks. 4 tanks total over 2 cards. So I got the T-64 for kind of median. So we got the T-64BV, and just let's do a little quick comparison on the T-90 or T-72BU and the T-64BV. Alright, so we see that I'm comparing the same tank. T-72BU with the T-64BV. The T-72 is more accurate. Better AP, obviously. Same fire rate, however. Front armor is nice on the T-64 for its price, 17. I mean, T-90 beats it all around, but T-64 is a good supplement. A cheaper tank anyway, and the missile on it is actually better, so that's nice, more accurate, and it works better stabilization wise. So range is the same, and the NSVT is not a game changer. The gun, I mean, the 64 has more fuel, so that's nice, I guess. And then I take for my cheap tank the T-55 AMV. It's got bastions on it, which are decent. It can take a hit or two with 11 front armor. It is a T-55, only 2100 meter range. So that rounds out my tanks. Moving on to recon. I can't give up my women snipers from North Korea, and I pack them in little ZIL 130 Urals for cheap recon, 30 points overall, so that's nice. And then I got Spetsnaz Gruen in my 24. I barely call them out just because they're expensive. That's 85 points for a recon group. They are nice though, 700-meter range on their rockets, 20 AP power on their recon with SVDs, so that's really nice. And I picked up the K-52. I like those seed missiles on that damn thing. You can snipe a lot of radar-based AA with this son of a bitch, and it's got Iglas on it, so I'll use this for my opening helo rushes if I ever do that anyway. In my 2, while playing, I sometimes miss it just because you can't call a K-52 to go out and watch your border. You gotta have this thing on the, around the shit because it's a gunship. But I don't have any cheap recon to just kind of throw around very quickly anyway. My recon tab is probably the weakest, I would say, just because, which it really shouldn't be, because recon is what changes games. But I only have 4 groups of these chicks here to spread around, then 4 Spetsnaz Gruen to spread around, and then 3 K-52s, these 2 being more expensive, so I don't really call them out that much. So you start looking at it like that, it's quite negative. And then probably the most fun tab here is the fun being interesting, I guess. The vehicle tab. I picked up these ZPT U4s, which are just BTRs with quad. I love KPTVs. They're really good for killing infantry. Just having their single KPTVs on BTRs, like BTR 60s and whatnot. And quad on this will sometimes stun lock infantry. I usually put them in groups of 2. I was always wanting an excuse to be able to use this little BTR just because I don't really play Russia a lot. So now that I can use them, I'm definitely using them. And the range on helicopters is really nice too. I mean, these things are, on paper, it doesn't look that good with 10 accuracy, but just the volume it pumps out is nice. And whenever someone brought this up before, that the Afghansky is a good replacement for this thing. The range, however, on the BTR is better than the Afghansky, and the suppression is actually better on the ZPTU. 23 millimeters a bigger round, and it seems to be a constant. Yeah, the Afghansky has almost 1,000 rounds per minute more than the BTR. But for some reason, the BTR, works a lot better for me than the Afghansky. And they can even, kill some tanks if it needs to. It's got some AP power with it. But, I mean, obviously you're not going to kill a lot of tanks with these BTRs. You got to get them in trees and stuff. And I've actually used these to assault cities as well. It's got that 1,400 meter range on the ground, so use these cheap little things to help assault a town if need. Zalo's 30 point, 85 millimeter guns. It's got a huge fire rate, decent accuracy. It's really nice. These things will kill infantry pretty well, and can even quickly fire on heavier armor. And it's wheeled, so it's quite quick. Then I couldn't give up the ATS 103. 2,100 meter range on a tank destroyer is nice. The accuracy's good. AP's decent. I've had these things kill Challenger 2s before, just side armor or ass armor. So I stuck with them. I could have easily taken the Norov for 5 points more. Same range, better accuracy, and it even can shoot on the move if need be. Same AP power though, and it's got faster rate of fire. But I stuck with the lesser of the two just because I'm used to the ATS 103. I know it sounds weird just looking at it on paper. Why take it, 103. So the Norov's even amphibious. Take the ATS 103, and of course I take the BMPT. Frag rounds again, love those. This HE gun's pretty good, I guess. Not going to be killing any tanks with these BMPTs, but it's armored as hell too, which is nice. And then it's got that 30mm gun on it too, all for 70 points. So very well-rounded vehicle. Moving on to helicopters. For my anti-tank roll helicopter, I go with the Mi-28 over the Akula. I already have a K-52, so I don't need more Iglas in my helicopters anyway. So I take the Mi-28. It's got those 122mm rockets that I like a lot too. It's only got 10 of them, but that's pretty much all you need. Looking at the ground-based missiles, the Akula's got more range, but it's less accurate and doesn't have as much stabilization, which is kind of what you want more on a helicopter, I'd say. But AP power is better on the Vickers as well, but that accuracy change on the Ataka versus the Vicker, 65 versus 50, it's almost a no-brainer. The Mi-28's even cheaper, and they have the same little 2A42 30mm gun on it. The Mi-28's got a little bit less rounds, but you don't end up using that a whole lot. I mean, you want to snipe things from the maximum missile range, not get right up on the enemy with that gun. But it is nice to have that in a pinch, I guess. And then of course I have got to go with those frag ground helicopters from North Korea. These are the coolest little helicopters ever. You get groups of 2 of these, and you can assault a city or something. Just fire on position, kind of spread out just a really large amount of frag rounds. Just throwing it up everywhere. It's really nice. And then going to the air tab, go with the North Korean B5s just because they're North Korean B5s. Those bombs are ridiculously powerful. B5s are vulnerable, but doesn't matter that much. I don't think, anyway. It's got this tail gun. I've only ever seen it shoot a couple times. Definitely haven't shot any planes down with it. And then I have 2 elite Su-27 PUs, super fighters from Russia. North Korea has always lacked any type of good anti-airplane plane. MiG-29 was probably its best, and it's bad. The Vimples on it are bad. This is not worth 100 points. But these Su-27 PUs, they're pricey, but they never get shot down, so that's what I like about them. And that's why I take them. Don't have a lot on the air tab, don't really care for air power that much. And then of course my Navy's standard, that's usually what I have in just about all my decks. So I'm not going to really talk about that. But anyway, that's my Oh God Soviet-Korean Alliance deck. I'm sure you'll be seeing some gameplay footage of it in the future. And I hope you enjoyed this video.